All right, we're ready to go. We're doing big things right here. Got a new table going on. All right, here we go. So, hello, good evening. It's around 9 o'clock Central Time here in Alabama, and hopefully everybody's having a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be located. But we are here for our 90-second show. All right, let's go. Still stoked about my table. All right, I got to swing back into this. I'm a little rusty because we haven't done this in like 4 days. We have noise coming from upstairs. All right, so the kids are upstairs, so we'll see if we can plod through this without interruption. Hopefully, let's go. All right, so it's been 4 days since we've done a show. Believe it or not, there's actually a pretty good bit that we can talk about.
There's some stuff going around.
Yeah, and number one, I find out that at my age now, I have to have a cup of coffee when it's after 9 o'clock to stay awake. So I'm really trying to pump myself up for this thing. You know what I mean?
You're not that old, Jesse.
Man, tell you what. All right.
Do you think Federer feels that way? He's close to our age.
That Laver Cup stuff's whack. We're gonna get into that. All right. So again, hopefully, I'm not used to the table. This is a new deal here.
Well, this is why people shouldn't have glass tables.
Yeah, but it is kind of a dangerous table.
Mm-hmm.
But we do dangerous things at times, and we're risking it with the glass table today. All right. So Carla and I have been tied up for the past 4 days. Hence why we haven't done a show. Hence why I feel rusty, like I don't even know what to do.
Well, there really hasn't been much going on except the Laver Cup, and you have the St. Peter's tournament, and then you have, I think, the tournament in Hong Kong. No, not Hong Kong. Tokyo. That's about. There's just very few things going on in the tennis world right now.
Well, for me and myself, pardon my voice, by the way. Been a long 4 days, so we're trying to keep the voice going. But for me, the last 4 days has been. We have worked, Carla and I, from well before sundown to well after. We worked well before sun up to well after sundown, 4 days in a row. Mm-hmm. And there's something I wanted to talk about for 4 days. So kind of for the past 4 days, I've kind of jotted down some notes because there's a lot more that meets the eye behind the Laver Cup and Davis Cup and the ATP's World Team Cup and this new Majesty's Cup. And you may not care, but we're going to get into that in a little while. But this whole Laver Cup really has a lot of things that are kind of within direct competition of one another, and we're going to talk about that. But the Davis Cup is involved in terms of the mess that this whole thing is kind of jammed into at the latter part of the tennis year now and potentially upcoming. We may have we have a Davis Cup tournament next year at the end of the year. We're gonna have a World Team Cup, right? A World Team Cup that the ATP is doing, or at least talking about doing. We're going to have the Davis Cup again in a tournament format. We're going to have the World Team Cup potentially. We have the Laver Cup, which is Federer's creation.
Right, that'll be in Geneva next year.
Yeah, and
in his hometown, right?
Yeah, and then furthermore, you have the ATP World Tour Finals at the end of the year, respectively. And then you have something that's being pitched out there, but I think it's by a separate group of sports business entities. I forget what the name of that group is, but they want to pitch out something called the Majesty's Cup. And this is all men's tennis, and again, we're going to get into this, but this all ties in to why I think that even though it's fun to watch this Laver Cup thing, why it's really and truly just a big exhibition for me. No disrespect, I know why they do it. There's money out there, and people will buy tickets. And let's be real, the only thing that I've seen in terms of pictures has been from a marketing standpoint. We have Roger's new Uniqlo shirt we've all seen now. We have Roger's new Wilson 97 racket that's $299.
$299?
Yeah.
Who really can afford that?
Yeah, and let's be real. $299 for a racket whether it's strung or unstrung,
That's ridiculous.
is preposterous. I mean, you could come to my shop over here and I'll set you up nicer than that with a racket that's not so heavy. It's a little bit more forgiving and it feels better. No disrespect to the racket. I'm just saying I can get you a much better setup for a whole lot less.
I don't get this. Federer is a billionaire, right?
Man.
Knowing that people buy his product, why wouldn't he try to appease more of the people that are middle income or people that are trying to play tennis? $299 would be for a country club player, someone that really doesn't know how to play tennis well. Real tennis player would have spent $300 on a tennis racket. I just wonder.
Look, it doesn't matter who you are. If you spend $299.99 before taxes or however it works out on a tennis racket before it's strung or even with it strung, geez, I'm not going to get back into this one. But that's an insane price for a tennis racket.
Man, if I was a tennis pro, I would tell the company, hey, let's try to make this price a little bit more fair so more people can buy it, purchase it. I mean, how many people are money hungry? I don't get this. $299?
By the way, I think I just heard that Anthony Davis got signed with the Lakers with LeBron. Never mind, that's irrelevant. But yeah, I heard that Anthony Davis potentially is going to Los Angeles, and that's exciting for me because I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a 49ers fan too, but Garoppolo.
I'm a LeBron fan, so wherever he goes, I'll be a fan.
I'm a California kid, so I wish the best for the Lakers. Anthony Davis comes in, big things. My Giants suck baseball. My 49ers, Garoppolo whacked his knee out. That's all right.
That's okay. My Giants suck too.
Let's go.
My New York Giants suck too.
Let's
go. But anyways, Justin, I would never buy that racket. I wouldn't buy it.
We're gonna get into all of this. And more. As always, thanks to all of you. I'm getting my flow back now.
I'm starting not to like Federer, by the way.
Well, don't say that yet.
Well, I mean, there's just a lot of things I've been reading on, seeing on. I don't know how greedy people can get with money. I don't get it. I mean, there's so many tennis players out there struggling right now, you know, that are in the 20s, 30s, and they can't get any of this. You know, it seems like all these top players are getting everything.
So in other words, the rich just keep getting richer, and the poor just keep getting poorer.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this. I've got this. This is still intro. We're gonna talk about that and a lot more. Don't let me forget to talk about what you just said. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much to all of you as always. If it wasn't for you, we would do this not late at night on a glass table with notes and computers. We would just be duking it out in the kitchen doing this. So we enjoy doing this. And again, apologies, we've been off 4 days, but we really have been working hard. We do have to continue to put the food on the table and do what we do on a day-to-day basis. And nonetheless, we've missed you. Thanks, all of you. Thank you for the one contribution that we have. And if you have interest in doing that as well, there is a link below that you can see. Anyway, so there has been some men's results, some women's results. I think we have St. Petersburg, we have Tokyo, and I know that we have the Laver Cup. I think TN won in St. Petersburg. I think we had Youzhny
retired. He lost to Bautista. Was it Bautista?
Much love, Youzhny, for sure. And then we had the Laver Cup, right?
Yes.
We had Osaka that lost to Pliskova. We're going to talk about that briefly. If you've been following this show for the past 92 shows, I'm a big Pliskova fan. She's not. Well, she doesn't dislike her. She just says she's a little too thin.
I'm not a no. I don't. She hasn't done anything for me not to dislike her. I just think she could put a little bit more meat in her. And body.
And we'll get into some of these late season matches and try to find out if they really matter or if we're just beginning to get into that vacation time.
I think, well, Azarenka pulled out of this week's tournament. So did Osaka. She apparently wasn't feeling well, has some virus. Stevens lost in the first round of a new tournament.
I think she had that private yacht waiting, and that was...
Well, this is what I'm talking about. I don't even know why half of these players even play these small tournaments.
All right, so we're going to get into that as well. Personally, the St. Petersburg tournament, I had more interest in than I did in the Laver Cup. By the way, I have not watched one Laver Cup match. If I even see an article about it, I flip by it, and I'm going to get into that as well. It's no disrespect to the game or the players within it, and we'll get into why I think that way personally coming up.
Well, I see Thiem won this tournament. It was a 250-point tournament, and he earned about $209,000 for this tournament.
Well, good for him, but
he beat Clisson, easily, fairly easily.
So unfortunately, in the tennis world, 200,000 purse, probably after paying coach, hotel rooms, I mean, you name it, family, bills, and so forth. There's probably not much left. But what I'm going to go ahead and get into, because that's going to tie into
well, I think he's just doing it for points, probably.
Oh, he's doing it, and he's doing it for.
Plus, he wasn't invited.
He wasn't invited. He
Cup.
wasn't invited to the Laver Cup. Woohoo! So he had to grind it out and got a well-deserved win. And good job for TM for winning that tournament. Really big time. Good for you and Youzhny. Much love, bro. Best of luck in the future. First of all, I mentioned a little while ago why I didn't have any interest in the Laver Cup. Look, I'm going to throw out some knowledge out just real briefly. And if I get some of my facts wrong or some of my terminology, don't shoot me. But basically, the gist of the Laver Cup is undoubtedly for marketing and money. And why wouldn't it be? That's business. How do I delve off into this right? Okay, so next year we have the Davis Cup that is changing from a century-old format of playing throughout the year, culminating at the end of the year. Well, now they are moving that to a tournament format beginning next year, at the end of the year. 18 teams meet up. Okay, whatever. At the same time, the Davis Cup is an ITF-owned thing by the International Tennis Federation, ITF. At the end of the year, you have the ATP World Tour Finals, which is ATP. At the same time, now you have Federer's creation, the Laver Cup, that also comes up now after the U.S. Open at the end of the year. So you have the World Tour Finals, you have the Davis Cup, now that's end of the year tournament format. Now you have the World Team Cup being pitched by the ATP on top of the ATP World Tour Finals at the end of the year. I think I said Laver Cup already redundantly. And then there's a new thing being tossed around by a group that is more involved with soccer and something else. And I forget what the name was. But now they want to have something called a Majesty Cup. So think about this. Davis Cup, World Team Cup, Majesty Cup, and Laver Cup, all after the U.S. Open. Now, who goes to these things? Okay, who goes to these things? You get the most profitable people that can sell merchandise. Why would Kyrgios
for Laver Cup?
Why would Kyrgios be at the Laver Cup? He's not in the top 8. But I'm not hating on that.
Wait, Justin, I'll tell you. I'm reading on it. It says 4 of the 6 players are based on their ATP single rankings as the Monday following Wimbledon, and then 2 are captain picks, which means that McEnroe picked Kyrgios.
So all I'm telling, or I guess all I'm trying to say, the reason why I don't care about watching the Laver Cup is because, let's be real, how hard do you think these guys are trying in terms of the grand scheme of things? I think Anderson just beat Djokovic, right?
They're not trying.
I get it selling tickets. I understand that. And it's a beautiful thing. See, I'm being pro-tennis. I'm pro of the sport. Obviously, I bleed it. It's what our whole family bleeds.
Yeah,
I want it to be better.
They're trying to get more fans is what it is. They're trying to get more people involved in tennis. They were doing this whole campaign on Tennis Channel. They went around Chicago trying to get more people involved. But the tickets are not cheap.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
not cheap at all.
And from a perspective of, do these matches count? Maybe in 20 years if these get worked into the system or whatever, but is anybody willing to tell me that Anderson's a better player than Djokovic? Is anybody going to tell me that match should count against Djokovic in terms of being the greatest all time now? Oh, well, don't forget about that Anderson match at the Laver Cup. What do you mean? Djokovic is the greatest, but yeah, he lost it. I mean, it's irrelevant. It's a fun time. I think I read an article briefly that Djokovic pegged Federer in the back with the ball and the crowd was all giddy. Whatever. Doesn't matter. For me, I find it, I guess for me with 5 kids and having to do everything in this daily grind of life, I just don't have time to watch it. I think it's great, but from my standpoint, I see nothing more than marketing and theatrics, kind of like WWF wrestling, but better because it's tennis and not wrestling. But I see it more as a friendly competition amongst buddies, playing at about 30%, with the newest gear for $299 a racket. And then also, it's only there because of the players wanting more money. Djokovic wants 19%, or not Djokovic, but the players and the players' organization. I think Djokovic is the head of it. They want a 19% pay increase. Well, geez, that's a lot of money. Wow. And also, too, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but man, when you win $3 million in a final and you want 19% more than that, well, what about the guys like Tim that won $200,000 and he'll spend it in 3 months of traveling and eating and coaching and entourage?
Is the 19% just for the top guys?
So who's the 19%
Who's
for?
the 19% for?
And I'm not focusing on one player, but here you have Federer that sees a piece of the pie to be taken. And I understand from a business perspective, if you're a businessman, yeah, you see a piece of the market that you can buy into. Heck, I'm a $100 millionaire, yeah, I'm going to buy into it. And that's what he did. Federer saw a chance to compete with some age-old tennis stuff, and to me, I think the Laver Cup kind of sold out the Davis Cup. I'm not saying it was a direct relation to it, but to pitch this at the end of the year, Laver Cup by Federer, and the Davis Cup at the end of the year, now because of the money, and they can go to the Laver Cup and play 2 out of 3 sets and make $250,000, or they're going to go play 3 out of 5 at the end of the year for not even close to that. So in other words, it was like the Laver Cup took away from the Davis Cup, and also too at the same time, the ATP's finals that they have, and then then the ATP wants a piece of that pie, so they're doing this World Team Cup, and then the ITF wants to sue ATP and vice versa because it affects their marketing and business designs. I mean, it's a real mess. It's a real mess, and for me to sit down and watch this, and maybe no one cares, and maybe I don't care either. But
well, I'll be honest, I don't care to watch it.
I don't care to watch it.
I watched a bit.
It's just for money.
I had to switch the channel. I'm sorry. I know Rahesh sent me a message, that he didn't really watch it, but he was going to watch it because Djokovic was playing this year.
Well, he lost to Anderson.
But I had a hard time.
He didn't lose Anderson. He just didn't care.
I had a hard time believing that Djokovic and Federer could be playing together as doubles. I found it so fake. It was so fake for me. I'm like, here's these rivals. I mean, we've known they're not the best of friends, and they're playing together, and they're acting like they're the best of friends. It just didn't. I couldn't swallow that one down. I couldn't. I just couldn't.
And this is Inception. What was it last year? Federer played doubles with Nadal, and everybody was all giddy.
I couldn't even watch it last year, and I love Nadal. I couldn't.
And it's great for tennis. It's great, but I'm just saying. I mean, what we are, I guess, discussing subjects like greatest of all time and best ever and head-to-heads and da.
Well, here's the other thing.
I mean, what does this have to do with anything? Look, it's great. Don't think I'm not.
But it's unfair too because you have Team Europe who is dominant. Everybody they pick for the other side is Tiafoe.
Yeah, but forget about
Kyrgios. Forget about Schwartzman.
But what about the other 900 people on tour? Yeah, well, they maybe not having as many points, but isn't it kind of
they couldn't get someone better than Schwartzman?
Well, Schwartzman's okay, but all I'm getting at is why do the top 8 or top 20 in the world need more of a shot? Why don't they give them another major tournament or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want look.
You got the small fish that can barely survive to pay for a coach to travel, and these big guys are making more money. And then on top of that, the women have no exposure. I don't know.
Yeah, so where's the women's version of all this? And again, not that I'm going like, oh, well, I'm not getting into that, but where is it? I mean, kind of odd.
I just don't enjoy it at all. I'm sorry. To me, if I'm gonna go watch players giggle, laugh, and stuff, just might as well call it the Rod Laver exhibition.
Or just come over here to our house and watch our kids train because they're more exciting than. Look, I mean, is it fun to watch? Is it flashy with their $300 rackets that they're pushing off and their newest shirt that's being sold at $120 a pop or whatever it is, or the newest shoes at $200, whatever it may be. But there's nothing that any of these athletes, in my opinion, is going to do to risk their permanent health running up to the Australian Open next year. They're going to get their R&R because they need it, number one.
Yes.
But if we're going to be dishing around all these different events now at the end of the year, I think this one, the Majesty Cup that they're pitching out by some company, again, and I may have some of this wrong, but I think it was like 64 players, and winner takes all. In other words, 63 people go home with nothing, and then the winner goes home with like $5 million. Would it be exciting? Yes. But is it going to rewrite history? Hey, how many majors does that guy have? Well, wait a minute. How many Majesty Cups? Maybe in 30 or 40 years? But for right now?
Tennis is becoming so busy. It's all about the money. I mean, you hardly see players out there for the passion of the sport. I mean, it's like we said, we can't People can't even sit down to watch 2 out of 3 sets because they're on their phone. You know, these young players don't even pay enough attention because they're busy with social media. I just think it's sad. The tennis is becoming, I don't know. It's not like it was in the 80s, the 90s. It was fun to see these players grind, and you know, you could see they had their heart in it.
Yeah,
you just wonder.
It seems like what we are watching unfold is that players want to play less time for more money, and that's great. Isn't that the whole reason why you like work hard young so you can retire, or you can retire younger? I get the premise of it, but we're talking a sport that's a duel, a fight to the end, and it seems like now it's just a fight to get in these tournaments that have nothing to do with the time and the history books and what people have done for a very long time to put into this game. So I guess I'm more conservative with that. I don't see the need for myself as a consumer to watch it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'd rather watch the Davis Cup, honestly, because at least these guys are fighting for
their country.
Okay?
And surely there's money and sponsorship exposed. But again, if I had to choose,
but they give opportunity to a lot of players, Justin.
Yeah,
and you don't have to be Federer or Nadal or Djokovic to play in them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any desire to watch what I think is just more close to a circus than it is tennis. I mean, it's tennis.
What
for
do
hitting
they say at
balls,
the end of the season if we have all this stuff happening then? If they want to do all this stuff, World Team, Majesty Cup, Laver. I mean,
and then how do they? You know, these teams they invite. Is it who's the most recognizable that they can sell the most stuff to? I mean, okay, Kyrgios is there, Jack Sock's there. Jack Sock's had an awful year. He's won like 4 matches or something. So he's there. Okay, Tiafoe, like him, support him, whatever. But what kind of years he had?
Like for Team Europe, they have Federer, Severbev, Dimitrov, who sucked this year, Djokovic, Goffin. I guess they had to put him in.
They had to put him in there, I guess. Yeah.
Edmund.
He can sell. He's the only British player.
And they put the alternate Chardy. Okay, but he never played.
Okay.
And then you have Borg, who's the captain, and then I didn't even know the vice captain was Thomas Enquist. Remember him?
Yeah.
I mean, and then you got. I'm even ashamed to look at Team World.
All right. Well, look, we're gonna go over this with some results.
Okay.
All right. So, anyway, I don't know. You guys come back with feedback. Again, I'm not being the Grinch.
And surprise, Team Europe won this year again.
Yeah, I'm not being
by a lot.
I don't want to be the Grinch again. I'm totally for everybody watching. I'd rather my kids sit down and watch some tennis entertainment than most of the junk that walks by their visual cortex on a daily matter. Absolutely.
And how epic of a
but
match?
Does it really matter?
How epic of a match is Nern Federer really were? I mean, come on. More like they were playing the crap.
Anyway, I get it's fun. I get it's good to promote tennis. But is it important, number one, or is it just really a fancy exhibition at the end of the year to get businesses richer? The only the invited players, at least the ones that win, I guess, and I'm sure if you just go, you get compensated. So they can just bankroll off of 30% effort, and then maybe next year we'll go out of two out of 3 sets at the majors. Maybe next year at Wimbledon we'll go 2 out of 3 sets with no tiebreakers, and then for the U.S. Open they can just play 1 10-game pro set and get paid triple the prize money.
They're starting to become like the basketball players who get
what's happening, right?
They're becoming like the basketball players that get guaranteed, right? And then they get hurt and they don't play. Football players, same thing, right? That's what it's starting to become.
Yeah. Hey, can we just play 10 points for the Wimbledon final? Just 10 points. First one at 10 points, and then the winner gets paid double than ever.
You got some junior tournaments that have 4 games per set with no ad score. Talk about watering tennis down.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I understand that I don't want to be the Grinch here. I don't want to be Scrooge. But my passion in life, less Carla, my kids, whatever, family, is tennis. I born into it. That's the youngest thing I remember doing. She can feel she's been through the same type thing. Our kids play it. Something we have passion for. And I'm not saying this is something not to be passionate about the Laver Cup, but for me, tennis is about hard work, grind, determination, being humble, and helping other people when you can on the court. If they haven't played, here, let them use your racket. We just hit with a guy the other day we never met that went in a tennis ball. Here, use our racket. We ended up hitting with the guy, stranger, for an hour. Greatest time of my life. Great time. One of the greatest times of my life. Great time. All I'm getting at is when I turn on this stuff, I see a bunch of flashy shoes, flashy outfits, perfectly parted hair, no sweat, couple little grinding matches, little points here. Oh, that was epic, man. That was epic. And I'm like, gee, I wouldn't watch it anyway. I don't even care to read the highlights, but I hope everybody gets brighter Rolex.
Well, maybe they got more tennis fans into it. Maybe they got more kids involved in tennis. I don't know.
Maybe that's great, and I'm for that. Tennis.
Well, you know what they should do? They should do what they did. Michael Chang and Capriati did back in the days. When I lived in New York, the Reebok team would actually go visit these public parks, and they would do clinics and stuff. Maybe that's how you guys can get kids involved in the game of tennis. They don't do that anymore. It's rare.
It's a really interesting dilemma for me. But anyway, just so we can finish off this subject, I may not have I'm fairly certain I got most of it right, but the ITF, the ATP are squaring off against one another. Hence why.
And Federer's agent didn't want to move the Laver Cup, right?
and even Roger Federer's agent, as we were advised, indicated that he could. They were asked if they could move the Laver Cup to make the schedule more, I guess, friendly for somebody. I'm sure it was money involved again. Just saying. But nonetheless, the agent was like, no, we're not moving it. So between Federer's group, between the ATP and the ITF, there's a big tussle over this end of the year thing, hence why the Davis Cup has now changed, hence why Federer back in the day, and I griped about it like on the 20th show, I was like, Federer doesn't like that the Davis Cup changed. Of course he doesn't, because it was conflicting with this Laver Cup. Come on, Roger. I love you, man, but man, I'm beginning to harden my heart here, bro. $299 rackets, and you started Laver Cup, and you said back in the day, man, I'm such a tennis lover, man. I love the Davis Cup. I'm so sorry that it's changing. It's because it has some effect due to the Laver Cup. Make sure that
I don't even know what to say.
I'm gonna say. And again, if I have this wrong, correct me. And I'm sure I'm off on some of the past. Back in the campfire days, you speak around the campfire, you whisper in someone's ear, and it goes all the way around the circle, and you hear it. It's like, hey, the cat crossed the road. It goes all the way around the circle and hits you, and it's like, the purple people eater got ran over by a penguin or something. Mm-hmm. But I have nonetheless done some research, and that's about the gist of what I came up with. Some of the paths may be a little cross, but check it out, research it.
Yeah.
Okay? Anyway, that was it. You can hang me now, okay? Yeah. So we're good. I had written here that I was passionate about tennis, hence why I didn't like the Laver Cup, because of my feelings. It was getting WWE.
I just had a hard time. I couldn't watch it again.
I wrote here, I bled the game since I was young, and I want to see him fight it out, not pretty boy it. I already said that. Again, you guys can hate me now, but that's how I feel. Chime in on that for sure. And then I put here, if I have to watch the Laver Cup, I'm going to need some of Wayne Cheese balm for my daily bumps. You know what I mean? All right, so we still have like 2 or 3 minutes on this one. So do you want to do like a whole? We're way ahead of time. I don't have really anything left. So we're going to end it here, and then we'll go to part 2 of your comments and be done.
Yes.
All right. So hey, it took me a minute to get going, but I'm pumped up to be going. I got the coffee working over here. Can't wait for the viewer comments. We're going to stop here, go to part 2, and we're going to do the viewer comments. For Carla and I must say that it's good to be back, right?
Yeah, it is.
Good to be back.
Yeah, we'll talk some more later on the other.
Viewer comments always get me positive. I had written here something, but she reminded me I'd already thanked someone. Again, someone that was a contribution. But
well, did you guys know also that Billie Jean
King's buying into the Los Angeles Dodgers? So quick other sports news if you even care or keep up with sports. You may not care whatsoever. Myself, I'm a Laker fan. I'm from California originally. Was born in San Francisco. Spent a long part of my life in Southern California. So I like the San Francisco Giants baseball team.
Well, I was just saying the Billie Jean thing because here again, women's tennis is not getting exposure. And here she goes and invests money in baseball.
Yeah, so I was going to say that. So I'm a Dodgers fan too, but really the Dodgers are from Brooklyn. And they kind of moved in kind of an odd way. But Billie Jean King bought some of the Dodgers. She's a tennis, of course,
she's
grand
from
champion.
California too.
So the interesting thing is she indicated, well, it'd be nice if she put into the tennis, but she does a lot with USTA.
I know she does, but it's just I don't know.
I like the 49ers. Garoppolo went down. Hopefully he bounces back, but they paid him too much in the first place.
I think they're.
137 million?
No, I'm talking about most of these guys probably don't watch football.
Oh, there's some sports watchers out there. Anthony Davis going to the Lakers.
Okay.
All right. Am I missing anybody?
No.
All right. Well, good. All right. So we're going to get into viewer comments part 2. Pause right here. Here we go. Viewer comments from 4 days ago to current.
Okay.
All right.